Welcome to the City of Angels for the 2022 American Society of Human Genetics annual meeting, where you will have access to thousands of presentations on groundbreaking science, as well as engaging networking opportunities that will allow you to get valuable feedback on your research and grow your network in the human genetics and genomics community. With over 6,000 expected attendees, the ASHG 2022 annual meeting is the place to be to experience the great lineup of in-person scientific sessions. ASHG TV starts right now. Hello everyone, my name is Autria Godfrey and I am here to bring you all the latest at the 2022 ASHG annual meeting. We have a lot to cover today, from exclusive conversations with leading experts. We'll also be taking a tour of the organizations and universities at the forefront of genetics and genomics research. Plus, we will highlight some of the key topics being discussed at this year's meeting. First though, we want to hear from you. We talked with attendees about what you think are some of the biggest challenges in the field right now. Here's what you had to say.
Well, the biggest challenge right now in genetics and genomics is the absence of proper functionalization of any variants we find. It's like making a grocery list but not making a cake. We have thousands and millions of mutations and variants by sequencing, yet we have very few ideas of what they do, which I think is a huge problem. Because we cannot go ahead in life just pretending that we can do this forever again, where there is pressure now from both patient groups as well as from funding agencies to now sort of go to the next step. And I think till we are afraid of making that jump, we'll always struggle.
I think one of the biggest challenges today, and speaking especially for my country, I'm from Brazil, is to bring to people in general, to the society, the advances in genetic testing, for example. So I think that's it's really difficult to bring these advances to like people that don't have the access to this.
The biggest challenge looks like is still the translational ability. We have been identifying tons of genes. Every single corner of the genome has been identified and people have been trying to understand it as much as possible. But for me, coming from a pharma side of it, it's really the translation of how to really identify the drug targets, right? There are a lot of signals, but are they really causative signals or not?
I feel like the biggest issue in genetics and genomics right now is the lack of diversity in the people that are doing it, but also the samples that we are receiving.
I think the biggest issues of human genetics now is kind of disparity in different ancestry groups. So most of our data, like more than 70–80%, are from European ancestry. And we all know that the results we got from one ancestry group cannot populate to other ancestry groups easily.
I think that the biggest thing we need to do as a field is sequence non-European populations to get a sense of where the disease changes globally.
I think one of the biggest challenges we currently have is that we have not enough diversity in the genomic data we have. Most of these analyses have been done on Western European-based populations, and we need to look into that.
And I have learned a lot. There are a lot of talks, posters this year talking about how to solve this kind of disparity problem. So this is kind of one of the biggest issues I think we have.
I'm very positive and hopeful that in the next coming 5 years or so, this is gonna be a best time in the human genetics era to be in. The way this field is evolving, it's phenomenal.
There are endless opportunities for professional learning and development at the ASHG annual meeting. Let's take a closer look now at what some of those are.
At ASHG, professional learning and education is kind of divided into two main committees. One is the digital learning committee and the second is career development committee. I'm actually very fortunate to chair the digital learning committee for the next year. And then this committee was a working group where we played around with a lot of experimental online content and year-round programming. We worked very closely with the ASHG staff to form a digital calendar that includes not only content that is produced by the digital learning committee, but also many of the other ASHG committees. such as the Career Development Committee, the Peak Committee, Program Committee, etc. We had a lot of online content from the journals, like journal clubs, tutorials, etc. One example being we had a timely seminar of COVID-19 and germline susceptibility to COVID-19 as soon as the pandemic hit. We also had very interesting work-life balance because we all struggled around it last 2 years. So we had a webinar around the professional work-life balance and how you go forward handling that. At the ASHG learning portal, you can go at learning.ashg.org, and it's a fantastic resource for all of the digital content that has been produced by ASHG over several years. It includes webinars that we have conducted so far, and also you can get notified for upcoming webinars. You can also get access to all the workshops. And then we also have some interesting content. So we have podcast series. I think it's in the 3rd season now, and all 3 seasons have had huge response. And then if you are specifically interested in the career growth, we also have the ASHG career page, where you can find the job postings, as well as resources for genetics and genomics, tracks, etc. All of this work, almost majority of everything that ASHG does is through volunteer with the breadth of all its members. Our nomination process opens once every year, so feel free to look out for it, and we would love to have you on board.
It has now been 2 years since the launch of HGG Advances, the official open access journal of ASHG. And overseeing the journal since its creation 2 years ago is Dr. Michael Baumschott, who joins us now live, the editor-in-chief. Congratulations on this new role.
Thanks very much.
And we were just talking, you guys launched right before the pandemic and the world shut down. What was that like, trying to launch a new journal right as everybody was kind of having to pivot and figure out how they were going to continue their research, let alone submit it?
I think I could sum it up by saying it was challenging. I mean, researchers had stopped doing science, or at least their science was much more limited in terms of what they could do. Clinicians' efforts were focused elsewhere, so that clearly had an impact on submissions to the journal. In fact, we look at that first year as basically a year 0. And the following year is starting as year 1.
All right, so where do things stand now? How much progress have we made?
We've made tremendous progress. The visibility of the journal is high. The volume of submissions has increased substantially. We're getting quality manuscripts. So we're really enthusiastic about where things stand now.
What is the value of HGG Advances to members of ASHG?
Digital open access platforms are the future of scientific publishing. So there really are 2 major points that I think are of value to members of ASHG. First, since the inception of the American Journal of Human Genetics, the size, composition, and complexity of genetics and genomics research has increased substantially. So it's simply not possible for a single journal to publish all the high quality work from the membership. So there was need for a second journal that offered an opportunity for a rigorous scientific review and high quality publication. Second, open access digital publishing platforms offer fast, efficient publishing, quickly communicating scientific results. They offer an opportunity for facilitating meaningful data sharing, as well as providing an opportunity for post-publication discussion of results, making it easier to have conversations, if you will, between an author and the audience.
For someone who's never submitted before, what is the benefit of submitting their work? Why should they put their research out there?
There are a number of members who are interested, who have a preference for open access publishing. So for them, Human Genetics and Genomics Advances offers an opportunity to publish within the ASHG ecosystem. Additionally, for those that have less experience with open access publishing, the comfort of knowing that you're publishing within a society journal that maintains the same standards and quality as the American Journal of Human Genetics, I think is of some comfort.
So we're finally back face to face. The world is back open again. What most excites you about the future of HGG Advances now that we're kind of back to normal?
I think one of the most exciting things is the feeling that we've really been embraced by the community of researchers who are members of the American Society of Human Genetics. I mean, many of the manuscripts that we now publish are coming from the membership. Not all, but the vast majority. And the feedback that we've received has been really positive. The second thing that I think is really exciting is that we've been embraced by young investigators. In fact, the majority of our published papers are coming from either trainees or early career investigators. And that's an audience that we really thought to some extent was being underserved. And we're delighted that they've selected HGGA as the place to publish the work.
Those young go-getters.
Those young go-getters, that's exactly right.
Well, congratulations on this role. Best of luck. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Inform, educate, and engage the general public on all things human genetics and genomics. That's the mission of Dr. Kenneth Ramos, who joins us here in studio this morning to talk a little bit more about the engagement of the overall general population. Thanks for your time this morning.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here.
Well, let's talk about why public engagement is so important when it comes to ASHG.
I think it's essential because it's essentially the means that the society has to reach out to the public in general and to become relevant to the questions and priorities that Americans have. And so that's what we're here to do. Educate in the space of genetics and genomics, make that science accessible to people in a way that it means something to them, and then be relevant to the questions and needs that they have.
Do you find it's a little bit of a struggle to make people understand why this is relevant to them?
In some ways it is, because science, as you know, it's always a challenge to communicate in, and literacy in the space of, scientific endeavors is not so high. But I think we've had tremendous impact, over the years. I think, direct-to-consumer genetics, I think, has totally changed the landscape, where people now understand DNA and have an appreciation for it. So I think capitalizing on that is going to be important for us to build the future.
What does public engagement look like for ASHG? What are some of your outreach methods?
We have multiple arms because, as you know, it has to be a diverse portfolio to be able to reach out to different, stakeholders. We have programs that we call, Discover Genetics, which basically are geared towards high school students, where we provide educational materials, videos, pamphlets, information. So we also have the DNA Day essay contest, which is very popular, is worldwide competition where schools, students from 9 to 12 actually write essays on particular questions. And it's a competition that I think brings the best out of people. And we then recruit those students into the society, which of course creates a pipeline for us. We also have programs that cater towards teachers, teacher education and engagement. And so in so doing, we actually cover a full spectrum of activities, not to mention the fact that, of course, we communicate with our members and get them involved in this process.
Well, speaking of the members, it sounds like you have a lot going on. I'm sure you could use some extra hands, extra bodies. How could members get involved with some volunteer opportunities if they wanted to?
That's a great question. Interactions, I think, are essential in building the network. So I think it's important for members to not only know about what we're doing, but also participate actively in those projects. What we expect is for our members to actually use their own networks of influence, to actually connect with other people, communicate the message in genetics and genomics, and then utilize the tools and resources that we have and make them accessible to the public.
And it's never been easier these days with social media.
Absolutely.
You're making it very easy for folks.
Absolutely.
So what kind of impact do you think that a strong public engagement campaign will have on the future of human genetics and genomics?
I think what it will do is allow human genetics and genomics to do its role really in medicine and in society by making the science accessible to people in a way that it means something to them, that it answers the questions that they have, and that it becomes a way for them to empower themselves to make better choices and better decisions down the road. So I think it is essential that the society continues its work, and that in so doing we help America, get better.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely.
Now let's go ahead and kick off our tour of organizations leading in genetics and genomics. A national leader in their own field, the Stanford Center for Biomedical Ethics is an award-winning interdisciplinary hub for faculty who research, teach, and provide service on topics in bioethics and medical humanities. Let's head to Stanford to see why they were the first cohort to be named a Center for Excellence.
The Stanford Center for Biomedical Ethics engages in research that uses both empirical and normative interdisciplinary methods to explore a wide range of issues. We work quite well collaboratively with colleagues from around the university and around the country, not just other people in our field.
There's a very long, persistent, and ugly history of using genetic claims to validate social inequalities. A lot of the work that I do here at SICB is focused on trying to examine the broad social impacts of research.
We try to prioritize the intersection of disability and bioethics. We think that's absolutely critical to making sure that we model what we preach in terms of equity and justice.
We have outstanding faculty. They actually do work that makes a real impact to improve the lives of patients. And I think that's really the hallmark of what's really special about this place.
Genome projects have been established around the world, providing an increasingly larger database of genetic information, a better understanding of disease, as well as access to whole genome sequencing for more individuals, as well as precision medicine. In Hong Kong, the access and training needed to provide genetic services to its citizens has lagged behind other developed countries, meaning a major initiative in genomics was well overdue. Let's take a look now at the work being done by the Hong Kong Genome Institute.
We see genomic medicine as a key to a healthier future for Hong Kong. So the government decided to set up Hong Kong Genome Institute.
We were established with the mission to accelerate the integration of genomics into medicine by driving clinical application, advancing research, nurturing talents, and enhancing genomic literacy. As our first strategic move, we rolled out the Hong Kong Genome Project in July 2021.
Clinicians, scientists, geneticists, and genetic counselors can work together to develop this new discipline in medicine. We aim to recruit 20,000 participants to learn from their genome data.
We see genetic counseling as an effective patient engagement process to enhance understanding among all age groups.
Hong Kong Genome Project can contribute to the diversity of human genomic data. This can be translated into health benefits for millions of people.
At Providence Genomics, full genome sequencing is the future of personalized care. Their Genomic Medicine for Everyone program, branded as Genome for Me, provides full genome sequencing to Providence patients. They believe that genomics should be accessible to everyone so that all patients are empowered with the knowledge to live their best lives. Let's take a look.
The mission of Genome for Me is to truly provide genomic medicine for everyone at multiple points of care in our health system. We're doing this by finding innovative ways to meet patients where they are, identify their risk, and integrate those findings meaningfully into the EMR so that their provider can provide seamless, personalized care.
With Providence Genomics, we believe genomics and personalized medicine can drive better health outcomes.
Our population genomics programs have multiple ways to proactively screen patients so that we can empower them to act with prevention.
A lot of our outreach is working. We have about 50% of our participants who are from communities of color or who are from underinsured communities.
We are at the inflection point of what's to come in this new era of personalized medicine. We have to work together such that every provider, wherever they are in that patient's continuity of care throughout their lifespan, will use genomic information in an easy, practical way, and this will change health.
Indigenous AI is a Black-owned and service-disabled, veteran-owned genomics company driving health equity by democratizing genomics, leveraging AI-powered data mining and blockchain technology to identify molecular drivers, biomarkers, and therapeutic targets of diseases impacting African diaspora populations. Let's take a closer look.
The mission for Indigenous is really to drive precision health equity. We understand the magnitude of what diversity means as we move forward into the world of precision medicine.
Indigenous AI is really leveraging multiple technologies
for the benefit of traditionally underserved and underrepresented populations. First of being next generation sequencing and whole genome sequencing. Second technology that we're utilizing is artificial intelligence and machine learning. And the last technology that we're leveraging is blockchain technology to secure an individual's data to facilitate trust from populations who have historically not had a great deal of confidence or trust in the medical system.
At Indigenous, we want to give that ownership to the individuals, and so they'll be able to produce actionable insights from this data, which will help them and many others to come.
The mission of the Max Planck Institute of Molecular Cell Biology and Genetics is to discover the molecular and cellular principles by which cells form tissues. Let's see how they do it.
The mission of the Max Planck Institute of Molecular Cell Biology and Genetics is to try to understand how cells form tissues and organs. We study it all across the different biological scales, meaning that we study from the little molecules up to the organism. That implies that we are using different types of model organisms, from Drosophila to C. elegans, but now we are incorporating new models. In particular, we are incorporating organoid models. And that means that we are now able to study how cells form tissues in different tissues like the liver, but also brain, as well as placenta, pancreas, and also from the very early embryo. Our own research on the liver actually it's based on our major question, which is to try to understand mechanistically how tissues are maintained, how tissues repair, and what are the mechanisms that go wrong in disease. We've discovered that for the tissue to activate the regenerative program, it requires to modify its epigenome. But also we've discovered that now we can model some diseases like liver cancer. And now we have good models for liver cancer in a dish to investigate potential drug sensitivities for liver cancer treatment. And we are trying to expand this knowledge to other organs as well.
There is so much to cover, and we don't want you to miss a minute. Remember, you can always catch the latest episode of ASHG TV on any of the televisions spread throughout the Convention Center, on the in-house channels at several of our partner hotels, on the homepage of the ASHG website, and of course, always on our YouTube and Twitter channels. Thanks again for watching, everyone. We hope you've enjoyed today's show. Make sure to stay tuned, as we will have plenty more to share with you all tomorrow. We'll see you right back here then. Have a great day.